Darius Cole knew the sound of a business failing in real time. It wasn't dramatic. It didn't come with sirens or alarms. It sounded like a phone that wouldn't stop buzzing, an inbox that kept filling up, and the quiet panic in a customer's voice when they said, "Hey, my order didn't go through." At 9:07 a.m., Darius heard that sound. He stood behind the counter of Cole and Crumb, his small bakery cafe wedged between a yoga studio and a boutique pet store in a mostly white shopping district where rent prices were high and patience for problems was low. The morning rush had started strong: lattes, croissants, breakfast sandwiches. But the real money, the difference between surviving and barely surviving, came from online orders. Pickup orders for office meetings, delivery orders to apartment buildings, the kind of volume that made a Tuesday feel like a Friday. Darius had built that system carefully. He wasn't just baking. He was coordinating staff schedules, managing inventory, tracking margins, dealing with vendors, and running everything through a point-of-sale platform called QuickCart, their ordering website, their app, their payment processing, their receipts. QuickCart was supposed to be reliable. That was why it cost so much. At 9:07, his tablet chirped with a notification. A customer had placed a breakfast order. He glanced down, expecting the usual. Order confirmed, payment authorized, print ticket. Instead, he saw a red banner across the screen. Error 503. Service unavailable. Darius blinked once and tapped the screen. It refreshed. Same message. He checked the second tablet mounted near the espresso machine. Same error. Then the third display, the one customers used for self-checkout. The screen stalled, then flashed the same red banner like it had decided to panic for him. Darius's stomach tightened. He stepped around the counter, trying to keep his face neutral as customers lined up with polite impatience and cheerful expectations. "Morning," a white woman in a puffer vest said brightly. "I placed an online order. Should be under Megan." Darius forced a small smile. "One moment, let me pull it up." He tapped again. 503. The ticket printer sat silent. No new orders, no chirp, no paper. Behind him, his barista, white guy, early 20s, named Evan, looked up from the espresso machine. "Orders jammed?" "System error," Darius said quietly. "Give me a second." Darius opened his phone and tried the QuickCart Merchant app. It loaded slower than usual, then displayed a login page. He entered his password. Error 503. He tried again, breathing carefully. Same. He pulled up QuickCart's public ordering page, the one customers used. It spun, then turned into a blank white screen with a tiny line of gray text in the corner. Service unavailable. A small rush of heat climbed his neck. Not anger yet, something like dread. Because if the system was down, customers couldn't order. And if customers couldn't order, they walked next door and spent their money somewhere else. They wouldn't announce it. They'd just vanish. The woman in the puffer vest leaned forward. "Is everything okay?" Darius's voice stayed steady. "Looks like our ordering platform is having trouble. I can take your order here at the counter." Her smile flattened. "I already paid online." Darius's chest tightened. "If it went through, I'll honor it. I'm just unable to view the ticket right now." She frowned. "That's not great." "I'm sorry," Darius said, already reaching for the backup notebook he hated using. "What did you order?" As she listed items, Darius wrote quickly, trying not to show how much he was doing mental math. How many orders are we missing right now? How many payments might be stuck? How many customers will think we're the problem? The next customer stepped up, then the next. Questions piled. Darius felt his staff's eyes flick to him for direction. He kept giving calm instructions while his pulse climbed. At 9:15, Darius finally stepped into the tiny back office, barely more than a storage closet with a desk, and called QuickCart support. He'd dealt with tech support before. He knew the script: confirm account, confirm issue, try basic troubleshooting, then wait for escalation. But today, he needed speed. The phone rang twice, then clicked. "Thank you for calling QuickCart Merchant Support," a woman's voice said, crisp and bright. "My name is Heather. Can I get your account email?" Darius gave it. Heather typed, keys clacking. "Okay, Mr. Cole, how can I help today?" Darius spoke clearly, careful to be concise. "Our merchant dashboard is down. We're seeing error 503 on all devices. Customers can't place orders. I've confirmed it on multiple networks and devices. It looks like a service outage." Heather paused, and Darius could almost hear her eyes narrowing through the phone. "Error 503. Okay, and what troubleshooting steps have you taken?" Darius kept his tone polite. "Restarted devices, cleared cache, tried cellular and Wi-Fi, verified the public ordering page is also down. Multiple endpoints show the same error." Heather hummed in that way that sounded like she hadn't really listened. "Have you tried resetting your router?" Darius stared at the wall for a beat. "Yes, but it's not just our Wi-Fi. It's happening on cellular too." Heather's voice stayed upbeat, but shifted slightly. Less helpful, more instructional. "Well, usually a 503 indicates your connection is unstable." Darius felt a flicker of irritation. A 503 is generally a server-side service unavailable. A connection issue is typically a timeout or DNS failure. This is across different networks. Heather laughed softly, like Darius had tried to correct a teacher. "Sir, I handle these errors all day. Most of the time, it's on the merchant side." "Sir." There it was, the word that sounded respectful, but usually arrived right before dismissal. Darius tightened his grip on the phone. "Heather, I'm not guessing. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. Our internet is working. Everything else loads. Only QuickCart endpoints return 503. Heather kept her tone pleasant, but it sharpened at the edges. "Okay, let's not get ahead of ourselves. It could be a configuration issue. Did you change anything in your settings recently?" "No," Darius said. "Any new plugins, integrations, third-party apps?" Heather pressed. "No," Darius repeated. Heather sighed quietly, as if Darius was being difficult by not admitting fault. "We need to rule out user error." Darius's jaw tightened. "It's not user error. It's your service." A beat of silence. Then Heather said, very calmly, "Mr. Cole, I understand you're frustrated, but your language is a bit aggressive. I'm trying to help you." Darius felt his chest tighten, because he'd been calm, measured, controlled. But he knew this pattern too. If he insisted, he became aggressive. If he swallowed it, the problem stayed unsolved. He lowered his voice intentionally, careful not to give her any excuse. "I apologize if I sounded frustrated. I'm under pressure because we're losing orders. Please check your system status or error logs. This looks like an outage." Heather typed again. "Our status page shows all systems operational." Darius closed his eyes briefly. "Can you confirm that with internal logs? Because our business is currently unable to process orders." Heather's tone cooled. "If the status page says operational, then operational." Darius opened his eyes. That sentence hit like the front desk conversations he'd had in other places. The system says it, so it must be true. He took a breath and tried another angle. "Can you look up my account and check if there are failed API calls or error spikes on your side?" Heather paused. "We don't have access to that level. That's engineering." "Then escalate me," Darius said. "Please." Heather hesitated, and Darius heard the shift from support to gatekeeping. Escalations can take 24 to 48 hours. Darius's stomach sank. I can't wait 48 hours. This is active downtime. Heather's voice turned firm, almost scolding. Mr. Cole, every merchant thinks their issue is urgent. We have procedures. Darius's fingers tightened around the phone. He forced his voice to stay smooth. Okay, then follow procedure and open a high-severity incident ticket. I'm reporting a widespread 503 outage affecting the merchant dashboard and customer ordering. Heather paused again, then asked, How many customers have reported this? Darius blinked. It's not just customer reports. I'm seeing it on all devices. Heather pressed. How many? Darius stared at the desk, feeling the absurdity. I don't know. Orders aren't coming in because the system is down. Heather made a sound that could have been skepticism. Sometimes merchants say that because they're having low traffic. Darius's throat tightened. That's not what this is. Heather's tone was still customer service, but her words were accusation dressed in professionalism. Have you checked that your subscription is current? Sometimes if a payment fails. Darius's eyes widened. Are you implying my account is delinquent? Heather didn't answer directly. I'm saying we see a lot of cases where merchants blame the platform when it's actually billing related. Darius felt a heat rise that he had to physically push down. He pictured his shop outside, customers standing there, staff scrambling, the day leaking money minute by minute. And here he was on the phone being treated like he didn't understand his own business. He spoke slowly, clearly. Heather, my subscription is current. I have confirmation emails. My internet is stable. The public ordering site is down. This is not a local issue. Heather's voice softened in that way. People soften right before they stop taking you seriously. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to have you uninstall and reinstall the app. Darius stared. That won't fix a server outage. Heather, it often resolves interface issues. Darius, a 503 is not an interface issue. Heather's tone sharpened. Mr. Cole, do you want help or not? Darius felt something click inside him. Not anger, exactly. Clarity. He'd been trying to convince her with logic. But she wasn't arguing logic. She was arguing authority. So Darius switched strategies. Okay, he said, calm and flat. Before we do that, can I speak to a supervisor? Heather exhaled. One moment. The line filled with hold music. Bright, bouncy, insulting. Darius looked at the security camera feed on his office monitor. He could see the counter from above. He saw customers waiting, shifting, leaving. One woman picked up her phone and walked out, shaking her head. Evan leaned toward a customer, explaining something with apologetic hands. Darius felt the loss like a physical ache. After 2 minutes, the hold music clicked off. A new voice came on, male, confident, polite in the way people are when they want control. Hi, this is Jason, support floor lead. I'm told you're having trouble accessing the platform. Darius spoke immediately, crisp. We're seeing error 503 across merchant dashboard and customer ordering pages. Multiple devices, multiple networks. This appears to be a quick cart server outage. Jason paused, then said the sentence Darius had expected. Our status page shows operational. Darius kept his voice steady. Status pages are sometimes wrong. I'm asking you to check internal error logs. I can provide timestamps. It started around 9:07 a.m. and is ongoing. Jason gave a small chuckle. Mr. Cole, with respect, most outages are localized. 9 times out of 10, it's a merchant network issue. Darius's jaw tightened. Then it should be easy to confirm by checking your error logs. Jason's tone stayed pleasant. We don't have direct access to server logs at this tier. Then escalate, Darius said. This is a business-impacting outage. Jason hesitated. We can open a ticket, but if engineering reviews it and determines it's on your end, you'll be charged for the investigation." Darius went still. "Charged," he repeated softly. "Yes," Jason said smoothly. "Because engineering time is expensive, so we have to be sure it's not a local configuration problem." Darius felt that familiar bitter taste, the way systems punished you for insisting they were wrong. He kept his voice controlled. "I want the escalation, and I want it documented that I reported a platform-wide 503. Please note that you refuse to verify server status beyond the public page." Jason's politeness thinned. "Mr. Cole, no one is refusing anything." Darius's voice stayed calm but sharpened. "Then verify it." Jason paused. "Then, we'll open a ticket." Darius didn't argue further. He knew when he'd hit the wall. He gave his email, the incident description, the exact timestamp window. Jason promised a case number. When the call ended, Darius sat still for a moment, phone in hand, listening to the muffled sounds of his cafe beyond the door. Voices, cups clinking, the faint hiss of the espresso machine. He felt two emotions battling in his chest. Fear, because downtime could ruin a day. And rage, because he'd been treated like he was trying to blame the platform to avoid responsibility. Like he didn't understand his own systems. Like his urgency was exaggeration. He stood and walked back out to the front. Evan met him with worried eyes. "We've had 3 people walk out. One guy said he'll just order from the place down the block." Darius nodded. "We'll do manual orders for now. Tell people we're handling it. Keep the tone calm." Evan nodded and turned back to the line. Darius looked up at the wall-mounted clock. 9:33 a.m. The outage had already eaten 26 minutes of the morning rush. His phone buzzed with a new email. "Quick cart case created. Priority. Standard. Not urgent. Not severe. Standard." Darius exhaled slowly, then made a decision. If QuickCart wouldn't check their logs, he would find the evidence himself. He pulled his laptop back up and opened the developer portal that QuickCart offered for advanced merchants. Most small shops never touched it. Darius had. He'd set up basic reporting and a webhook for order confirmations so he could track performance. He navigated to API activity. The page loaded. And there it was, what he'd been waiting for. A chart of response codes. Normally it was a clean line. 2 00s, occasional 401 if a token refreshed weirdly. Today, the graph looked like a wound, a surge of red bars. A column labeled 503, service unavailable. Darius's heart thudded. He clicked into the details. A log table appeared, rows of time-stamped entries. 90712 /orders /create 5039 0714 /payments /authorize 5039 0721 /store /status 5039 083 /orders /create 503. It wasn't his end. It was the server. Their server. And it had been screaming the truth in plain text while support told him to reboot his router. Darius felt a cold calm settle over him, the kind that arrived right before action. He took screenshots. He exported the log table. He grabbed the exact timestamps. Then he opened a new email, not to Heather, not to Jason, but to every escalation address he could find in the support documentation. Because now, he didn't need their belief. He had their system's confession. And the log, unlike a support rep's assumptions, didn't care who they thought Darius was. It only cared what happened. At 9:36 a.m., Darius stopped trying to convince anyone with tone. He stopped trying to sound pleasant enough to earn basic competence from people whose paycheck depended on pretending the platform was fine. He didn't get louder. He got sharper. He stood at the end of the counter with his laptop open behind the pastry case, the quick cart developer portal filling the screen, a table of failed requests stacked like receipts from a broken machine. Red bars, timestamps, endpoints, the same 3 digits over and over. 503, 503, 503. Evan glanced over while steaming milk. Any update? Darius looked up, calm. It's their server. Evan's eyebrows lifted. So we're not crazy. Darius gave a tight half smile. No. Another customer stepped up, white man in office slacks, phone in hand, already annoyed. Your website's down. It keeps erroring. Darius kept his voice steady. Our ordering platform is having a service outage. We can take your order manually. The man's eyes narrowed like he didn't believe Darius had the right to use the word outage. Sounds like you need better internet. Darius felt that familiar internal flare, the urge to snap back. Instead, he nodded once. I hear you. We're working on it. He scribbled the order into the notebook and handed it to the kitchen with a calm that was almost mechanical. When the rush hit a slight lull, Darius returned to the back office and dialed QuickCard again. He didn't want to, but he knew the game. The ticket only moved if you made noise. After the automated menu, Heather picked up again. QuickCart merchant support, this is Heather. Darius didn't bother with small talk. Heather, this is Darius Cole. You opened case. He read the number from his email. And it was marked standard. I'm calling back with proof this is a server outage, not on our end. Heather's tone was instantly cautious. Okay, what proof? Darius opened the exported log file and spoke clearly, like reading a record into court. I'm in the QuickCart developer portal under API activity. I'm looking at the response code report. Starting at 9:07 a.m., every endpoint returns 503. Service unavailable. Orders, payments, store status. I have the timestamped log table and I can email it to you. There was a pause. Heather said, We don't, use the developer portal for troubleshooting. That's advanced and not always reliable. Darius stared at the wall for a beat, because it was almost impressive how quickly she tried to discredit the one thing that proved him right. It's your platform, Darius said calmly. Those logs come from your endpoints. They are literally a record of your server responses. Heather's voice tightened slightly. Sir, I'm telling you it could still be a local network. Darius interrupted, but politely, leaving no room for the loop to restart. Heather, I'm going to email you the exported log and screenshots. I want you to attach them to my case and escalate this as a service incident. Right now. Heather hesitated. I can attach documents, but escalation. Darius cut in again, still controlled. Do it. And put in the notes that you previously advised router resets despite a server-side 503 wave starting at 9:07 a.m. Heather went quiet, then her tone cooled. Mr. Cole, you're being very demanding. Darius's voice lowered, sharp and calm. I'm being accurate. My business is losing revenue. Your platform is down. That's what's happening. Heather exhaled like she'd been forced into effort. Fine, send the email. Darius already had it drafted. He hit send while still on the phone. Sent, he said. Subject line. 503 logs, a PI activity export, case hash, 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 hash. Heather clicked in the background. Okay, I see an attachment. Darius didn't let her move on. Read the timestamps back to me. Heather paused. What? Read them, Darius said, tone even. So we're both looking at the same evidence. Heather's silence thickened. Then, reluctantly, she began. 9:07:12. Orders create 503. 9:07:14. Payments authorize 503. Darius didn't gloat. He just let the sound of her voice doing the work land where it needed to land. "Keep going," he said. Heather's voice got smaller. 90803. Orders create 503. 909. "That's enough," Darius said. "Now, do you agree this is not my router?" Heather didn't answer directly. I'll escalate it." "Good," Darius replied. "As a high-severity incident." Heather swallowed audibly. "We have to follow guidelines." "Darius, your guideline should include platform returns 503 across endpoints. That's a platform incident." Another pause. Then, "I'm submitting it," Heather said. Her voice had lost the playful confidence from earlier. Now it sounded like someone trying not to admit they'd been wrong. Darius didn't press her for apology. He didn't need it. He needed action. "Who is it being escalated to?" he asked. "Heather. Engineering triage." "Darius. And what's the new priority?" Heather clicked. "One moment." Darius waited. Heather returned, quieter. "Priority. High." Darius felt his shoulders loosen by a fraction. "Thank you," Heather quickly added, as if trying to regain control. "But that doesn't guarantee it's an outage. Engineering will confirm." Darius's voice stayed calm. "Engineering will confirm what your logs already show." He ended the call before she could loop again. Back out front, Evan was juggling manual orders and trying to keep customers from getting frustrated. Darius stepped behind the counter and took the next person with a steady, confident tone. "We're experiencing an outage with our ordering provider," he told them. "We're taking orders manually and honoring receipts if you have proof of payment." Some customers softened at the calm clarity. Some still looked skeptical, but Darius could feel the difference. He was no longer begging for understanding. He was announcing reality. At 9:49 a.m., his phone buzzed again. An email from QuickCart. "Case update, engineering reviewing, incident suspected." Darius stared at those two words, incident suspected. So now they believed what he'd said at 9:15. Only now it had cost him 40 minutes of rush sales and the dignity of being doubted. At 9:52 a.m., another buzz. QuickCart status page. Update, investigating elevated 503 errors. Darius let out a slow breath. So the status page that had been operational while Heather and Jason used it as a shield was suddenly updated the moment evidence became undeniable. He walked to the back office and pulled up the status page on his laptop. There it was, in plain text. Investigating. Some merchants may experience 503 errors. He didn't feel triumphant. He felt tired. Because he'd been right when it mattered and ignored until the system embarrassed them publicly. He forwarded the status page update to his staff group chat with one line. "It's a platform outage. Keep manual orders going." Then he forwarded it to himself and saved it in the same folder as the logs. Because documentation wasn't just for tech, it was for people. At 10:03 a.m., the merchant dashboard flickered. The login page loaded normally. The red banner vanished. Orders began trickling in again, the ticket printer finally chirping like it had remembered its job. Evan looked up. "Is it back?" Darius checked the tablet. The order queue populated. "Partially," he said, "but we'll stay in manual mode until it stabilizes." A customer approached the counter again, the puffer vest woman from earlier, now back with a tighter face. "So was it your internet or what?" Darius met her gaze, calm. "It was a server outage from our ordering provider." She blinked, slightly embarrassed. "Oh." Darius didn't rub it in. He simply nodded. "We're catching up." She left, and Darius turned to the stack of manual orders, making sure the kitchen had everything, making sure no one's food was delayed because QuickCart had failed. But as he moved through the motions, his mind replayed the support calls. Heather's laugh, Jason's 9 times out of 10, the threat of being charged for escalation, and the way they had called him aggressive for saying the word outage. Darius looked at the status page again. Investigating elevated 503 errors. He opened a new email draft to QuickCart's billing and support management address. Not angry, not ranting, just clean and direct. Timeline of downtime, 9:07 to 10:03. Screenshots of 503 logs. Screenshots of the status page change. Revenue impact estimate from typical Tuesday morning volume. Request for service credit. Request for staff coaching, specifically that 503 across endpoints should trigger incident checks, not router scripts. He attached the files. He didn't hit send yet. He read it twice, refining every sentence until it was impossible to dismiss as emotional. Then he sent it. Because the outage wasn't the only failure. The failure was how quickly support blamed the customer, and how long it took them to look at their own logs. Darius went back to the counter, where the smell of espresso and warm pastry returned like a promise. The printer chirped again. Another order came through. The system was breathing. But Darius had learned something he wouldn't forget. When people decide the problem must be you don't win by explaining your competence. You win by producing the record that proves they were wrong. And today, the error log had done exactly that.